Despite the obvious superiority of the Su-57 over all its predecessors, the currently relevant Su-35 still holds one interesting trump card: its export potential, which can significantly strengthen some allies and, consequently, benefit us as well. That's exactly what we will discuss today, along with some less obvious aspects. The past couple of years have clearly demonstrated a trend to aircraft are rapidly taking key positions within the Russian Aerospace Forces VKS. Naturally, these are the Su-34 and Su-57. The first, for obvious reasons, it's a bomber that operates relentlessly, the primary carrier of guided munitions, and more. The second, at the beginning of the conflict, was used sparingly due to its small numbers, carefully showcasing the achievements of stealth technology. However, year after year, it is steadily taking a leadership role. Today, the Su-57 is not only launching low-observable Kh-69 missiles, but also engaging in air combat and hunting Western air defense systems. This is undeniable, but the missions it performs can rightfully be called some of the most complex. The VKS is clearly focusing on these two key aircraft, meaning that sooner or later, orders for the Su-35s will dwindle to zero, just as happened with its predecessor. But should this really be the case? The answer is no, and the reason is its immense export potential, particularly in Iran. Let's explain why. Syria, as an ally, has ceased to play a crucial role. In fact, it has become yet another problematic hotspot that is in the process of being resolved. While our forces remain there for now, most are being redeployed to other regions, such as Libya. Iran, however, cannot claim the same and has likely withdrawn its contingent entirely. Meanwhile, Israel is wrapping up military operations, having signed a peace agreement. Sooner or later, it will shift its attention to its longtime adversary, and the proxy conflict could escalate into a direct confrontation. There are clear indications of this, though that is not our focus today. So, what is Israel's main strength? That's right, it's Air Force. No matter how you look at it, they have built their military strategy around aviation. Iran, on the other hand, has specialized in drones and missiles not by choice, but due to a lack of technological capabilities. A powerful air force is far more complex to develop than an arsenal of drones and missiles. Moreover, aircraft are a long-term investment, whereas missiles will eventually run out. And then what? Iran's air defense role is also of the utmost importance. Israel has demonstrated this more than once. At the same time, the role of previously dominant VKS aircraft is rapidly declining. First and foremost, the Su-30SM, followed by the Su-35s. This pair is now primarily engaged in escorting bombers and patrolling borders, but even in these roles, they are gradually being replaced by the Su-57. In the future, it is likely to also replace the MiG-31s, which we recently discussed, and by the 2030s, 2035s, it will form the backbone of the VKS. Indirect confirmation of this comes from procurement data. The absolute leader in deliveries is the Su-34, followed by the Su-57. The Su-35s, while still being supplied, is in noticeably smaller numbers. As for the Su-30SM, it barely registers. Only one batch was delivered last year, and even that was a modernization of existing aircraft. This presents an interesting picture. We have a very capable fourth-generation fighter and an ally in dire need of upgrading its air fleet. And Iran certainly has a lot to upgrade. First, its air force is primarily composed of over 40 American F-14s, of which about half or slightly more are still operational. To Iran's credit, they have managed to establish production of spare parts for these aircraft, but there is a catch: they are all 1970 Zira machines. In second place is the MiG-29, with 36 units of early modifications. These have better combat readiness due to access to spare parts, but what can these aging MiGs do against modern F-16I and F-35I fighters? In long-range aerial combat, nothing. A stealth fighter will only be detected at a distance of several dozen kilometers at best, whereas the MiG-29 will be spotted from over 100 kilometers away. The Su-35 solves this problem. At its core, its radar can detect an F-35I from approximately 150 kilometers away, give or take. On top of that, it can carry long-range R-37Me missiles, meaning Iran could have a real chance to repel a massive air attack provided, of course, that they acquire a sufficient number of aircraft. Speaking of which, recent reports from the IRG leadership have confirmed the start of Su-35S deliveries to Iran. According to open sources, 4 aircraft have been transferred so far, the first of which arrived in December last year. As previously speculated, this batch comes from the cancelled Egyptian order. That contract included 20 for aircraft, a good starting point. Now, let's summarize the Su-35 South's export potential following the full transition to 5th-generation fighters. First, strengthening an ally's air defense in the Middle East is a significant factor, helping to maintain a fragile peace through deterrence. Second, and perhaps most importantly, technological security secrets of current 5th-generation aircraft will not leave the country. Third, production lines remain operational, which, in case of urgent necessity, can be redirected from export to domestic needs, just as happened in 2022. In short, the Su-35s has numerous potential applications even if it loses relevance within the VKS. That being said, this process has not yet occurred, and it will take another 10 to 15 years before 5th-generation fighters achieve numerical dominance.